You're back. Awesome. All right. All right. If you guys are new here, my name is Ben Taylor. I'm a self-aware narcissist on this channel to provide awareness, growth, healing, and change. I'm super excited to be here because it's been a while. If you guys haven't been around for a little bit, it has been a hot minute since we've actually been live on several platforms. So if you're new tuning in and maybe you see me on one platform, you'd rather follow me on another platform, please check it out. Right now, I normally stream whenever I go live on Friday nights now. It used to be Thursday nights. Yep, Friday nights. A lot of times we're live on multiple platforms. So Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, and also TikTok. We'll be doing it a majority of the Friday nights. There'll be some Friday nights where I might only be on one platform, but we're back and super excited. So hope you guys are super excited too. Just to be able to jump in and to be able to talk through about narcissism, narcissistic abuse, just getting free. I mean, there's a lot of different things, and I see people that are coming in from all over the place. I was going to read through some of these here. Toronto, Canada, New York City, Australia, Ontario, Canada. My system ran out of memory. All right, hang on one second. It's like trying to give me an issue, and I'm like, well, let's close some other applications besides what we're actually live in. Yeah, we can do that. And all right. Sorry, one second. My computer is like, you're going to crash. So I'm like closing a couple things really quick. I'm infamous of having way too many tabs open on my computer, so that's part of the problem. All right. We should be good now. New Mexico, Australia, California, Michigan, New Jersey, LA, Niagara Falls on the Canada side. Awesome. Good to see you guys. Doing well, doing well. When does the next 45-day Clarity Challenge group start? That actually starts in February. It won't be up until February. We'll have some posts going up about that here soon. That's why I was going to be on around like 8:20, but I went a little bit late because I was like grabbing a couple of links, trying to have a couple things ready. And I noticed that the Clarity Challenge website is like down. So I got to talk to a couple people real quick to figure out what's going on with that because that's no good. But anyways. How's everybody doing tonight? What questions do you guys have talking about narcissism or like narcissistic abuse? Because that's a lot of times what I refer to, what I talk to. If you guys are new, I'll try to put in a bunch of stuff just as far as like what's going on. I know some of you guys already follow me. Some people might be new, but we haven't been doing these in a while. So life changed a lot since the last time that I was live with you guys consistently. We moved. Twice actually. So we got out of our house super quick, really fast because of some extenuating circumstances and some people that were doxing my family and me. And so we got out, went to a temporary spot for a couple months, and then now we're moved again. So now we're actually in our house. Life is starting to actually get a little bit back to normal. And so as a result, I want to make sure that I was getting back on social media in the live events to be able to do stuff for you guys as well. If you didn't know, I go live every single week inside the Narc app. And if you didn't have a clue about that, the Narc app is a great place for you to be able to connect with other survivors and other people that are dealing with narcissistic abuse. So inside the Narc app, we go live every single Monday night. We have one Monday a month where we actually bring people from outside the Narc app. So coaches, therapists, a bunch of different people to talk on specific topics and specific things to help you in your healing, growth, and change. And then I normally have 2 weeks, 2 Mondays out of the month where I normally coach on a specific topic. And then we have like a return report where you come back later and we focus on what do we actually learn, what's actually there. And then the last Monday of the month is going to be when my wife, Kayla, actually joins us inside the Narc app. That's something that we're going to be doing at the last Monday of every month. So feel free to be able to tune in. That is going to be on the Narc app only. That's not going to be on all these social media platforms, but it's just going to be on the Narc app only. You can find out all the information about that at narcapp.com, narcapp.com. Okay. Anyways, so I see there's a bunch of people tuning in from all over the place. What questions do you guys have like starting off? Because sometimes there's like initial questions of like, what is narcissism? Or is this narcissistic? Or what does this look like? And sometimes else to just kind of like dive in and give like a baseline of like what's actually going on when we talk about narcissism. It's not just that person who's there and like snapping selfies, but it's another person that is really a lot of times very malicious in what they're doing and how they're creating you to be crazy. and creating you a crazy life when you're being with this other person that oftentimes is toxic, whether they're trying to distort your reality through gaslighting, love bombing, or future faking, but they're trying to do something just to be able to get their own way. Okay. So diving in, let's see what we got. My narcissist boyfriend blows snot on the floor and thinks he's the shit. I'm over it. My ex is hoovering me again. How do I resist? My heart and head are fighting at the moment. So a big part of resisting is understanding the story that you actually believe. Typically what's happening is the story that you actually believe is telling you to be able to stay, is telling you this has to happen. All right. Looks like I have to shut down another application. What is going on? Let's see. I haven't used this one in a while. Let's see. All right. It's because I have like 80 million Safari pages open. Let's get that. Just making sure I'm not in Safari. Nope. Okay. Oh, it's so sad. Okay. They'll relaunch. It's fine. I probably literally like on all my tabs, I probably literally have about like 100 tabs open. It's ridiculous. Okay. Anyways, my ex is now with my best friend. Ugh. Totally get that. Totally get that. Unfortunately, a lot of times narcissists will go after people or will go after some of your closest people. Sometimes that's the easiest ones because they already have like a relationship. I didn't know there was such a thing as a self-aware narcissist, so I'm skeptical just coming out of a 30-year abusive relationship. No, absolutely. You'd be surprised. There's more narcissists out there that are actually self-aware. The difference is there's a lot of narcissists that are self-aware. They just don't care. There's a lot of self-aware narcissists that don't really care how they treat you, how they're interacting with you, anything like that. So as a result, it's like, hey, I'm a narcissist. Okay, whatever. And a lot of times narcissists will continue to just do what they want to do because there's not actually that change piece. That's what happened. I like scrolled up on Instagram and then it stopped showing me the comments. Okay. Sorry. It's been a while. We're getting back on this. Okay. Are my siblings narcissistic as well? No, because I don't have any siblings. So nope. He hoovered me 6 days after leaving again, saying, how are you and the kids doing? Should I accept? No, not at all. So a narcissist is going to hoover you typically for control. Like they want to be able to control you. Okay. Why are there so few people on this live chat? Where's everyone ask questions? Okay, so we're on like 5 different platforms. So I bounce back and forth. So Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok is where we're all live. So just FYI, if I missed your comment, you can drop it in again and I'll try to get to it. But I'm never like trying to disregard comments unless it's like mean or rude and y'all are just like hurting the overall like community. Okay. Let's see. If they are in prison for domestic violence, is he being nice to get revenge or does he feel bad? Typically with a narcissist, it's more like just being nice, just to either get revenge, to be able to get out, to be able to like make themselves look better. But it's not typically like a magical change. You don't normally see that with narcissists. Okay. Should I accept another Hoover after I didn't reply to the first Hoover? The answer is no. So like if the person has been toxic and they've shown that they've been toxic over a period of time, don't let toxicity back into your life because you have that choice that you can make to not be with that toxic person. Okay. Don't accept that Hoover. That Hoover is meant to suck you back in to a toxic relationship. Okay. I was wondering what helps when it comes to feel like you did something wrong and question almost everything you did, especially after a narcissistic relationship. So a lot of times people after a narcissistic relationship feel like they have no confidence to be able to do things. They have no confidence to be able to move forward. They have no confidence in how they work through problems and going even to the grocery store or like different things like that. There's a lot of times that it becomes really, really hard to be able to process some of those like basic things per se. And when that happens, you have to start developing a habit and you have to start building up your momentum in small little things. Now, it could be as simple as like making the bed or, taking out the trash or like making breakfast for yourself. Like it could be something super, super simple. But when you start building this repetition, you start realizing, wait a second, I can do this. The other aspect is like the stories that are actually being told like in your head that you're telling yourself from the toxicity that the other person told you, hey, you're not good enough. Like, hey, this isn't like how you should be or whatever it might be. Okay. All right. Here we go. My computer is not liking it tonight. I do not know why. We've done this before. Literally got like everything off. Let's see. Oop. Oh, crap. No, yeah. Oh, well. All right. We'll figure it out. Anyways, I'll just keep exiting out of that and we'll see if the computer crashes or not. Yeah, because it's not liking it. Okay. But I got everything closed. All right. Anyways, sorry. Let's see. My ex is treating our daughter the same way he was treating me. What can I do? He is a narcissist. So a couple things. Like one, you want to try to go no contact as soon as possible. You want to try to separate yourself from the toxicity, the toxic person. You want to be able, if you're in a co-parenting situation, because that doesn't really exist with a narcissist. If you're in a parallel parenting situation with a narcissist, then you're going to want to use the BIF method. You're going to want to try to make sure that you're there emotionally for your daughter and you're not engaging with him and letting him make you react, because that's the biggest thing, is like trying to make you react. He'll try to do a lot of different things like that. Okay. Missing you live. I broke no contact. November, carried until Christmas Eve. I since got no contact. He's now threatening to take me for custody again. Yeah. Well, a lot of times they will do that. And so like with that, like stick your ground. Like you, with your boundaries, you need to hold fast to your boundaries. Otherwise they'll never respect you at all. Okay. You can't reason with a narcissist. Anything you say, it's just ammo, run, don't look back. Yeah, absolutely. Narcissist stopped wearing his ring, said marriage was a mistake. A lot of times they'll do that. Okay. What happens when they can't find new supply and can't get the old back? Typically, they might spiral out. They might have like narcissistic injury, like they might actually have narcissistic collapse, like a little bit, stuff like that. But a lot of times they're very resourceful. A lot of times they'll still find a new supply. Maybe it's just adding a new addiction to the repertoire, or maybe that's something else. Okay. Definitely need to do a one-on-one with you soon. Yeah, no, I'd love to be able to talk to you. If you guys want to do a one-on-one sometime, or if you want to work with me one-on-one coaching, would love to interact with you. You can go to rawmotivations.com and you can click on one-on-ones there. Okay. Do they usually do another Hoover after me not responding to the first one a day ago? So Jenny, you keep asking about the Hoovers. They're going to keep Hoovering until you make sure that it's actually stopped. And again, when I say make sure it's actually stopped, I don't mean do something to the other person. I mean make sure that there's no reaction and there's no access. Okay, like they shouldn't have access to you. That's what no contact is. No contact, ghost, block. Make sure there is no way for them to get back into your life. If they have a chance to get back into your life, more than often they will. So you have to be really careful about that. Okay. How do I deal with NPD parent and his wife destroyed my relationship with the older kids? How do I deal with the NPD parent and his wife? So with that, like I kind of feel like I need a little bit more context with that. If you're dealing with NPD, like you want to be able to go contact and then working on you. Like, all right. Instagram, Facebook, I'll have to fix this next time. Okay. Um, it's like first. Okay. All right. Well, looks like we're just here. Okay. There we go. Looks like we got YouTube back on. All right. Sorry, guys. It looks like the computer like just fuzzed out on me. So I don't really know what's going on. We're going to try it again on the other platforms and see how it holds up. Who knows? We'll see. It might mess up again. And if it messes up again, then everybody go over to TikTok because that's the only one that was working well because the other two are running through my computer. And for some reason, it was having an issue. But anyways, all right. How did you realize that you needed therapy? Thank you for answering my prior question. So going through the whole process, I got to the place where I realized that I had narcissistic traits, but I didn't want to admit it. You know, it wasn't something that I was actually going to come out and say like, oh yeah, I'm a narcissist. Like, no, I denied it to everybody out there. I denied it on so many different levels. And I got to the place where I started to see some of the traits pop up when I was with a girl who had BPD and narcissistic traits. And I started to see like, crap, there's some of the stuff that I do, but that person's doing it to me. Like it's the exact opposite. And I was like, what the world is going on? Got to a place because of the affairs and because of things that are going on that my wife and my boss, they sent me to a sex addiction intensive, thinking that maybe this is the problem. Like maybe we fix this and maybe there'll be the next step. Like maybe he'll get better kind of thing. And really I was at that point in my like awareness journey that I got to the place where I walked away from the sex addiction intensive and I was like, I'm not a sex addict. I'm a narcissist. And like, that's the main problem. And so from there, I eventually got into EMDR and then I went into regular talk therapy and started to work through that as well. Okay. Mine used therapy literally to learn how to manipulate me more. A lot of times narcissists will do this. You have to be very, very careful. A lot of times when you say, hey, you should get into therapy and they go to therapy, all of a sudden you're like, wait a second. Now they're telling me that they're not emotionally safe, that this is coming back and all these things start coming back at you. So you got to be really careful about that. Let's see. Sorry, I've got everybody like starting back up here. Instagram, welcome. We had a little issue. Hopefully you guys are back. If you have questions, feel free to drop them in the chat on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, but I don't think anybody follows me on Twitter. Thank you. Unfortunately, that's why we don't recommend couples therapy. So yeah, I do not recommend couples therapy at all. Okay. How many people have been to couples therapy with a narcissist? Okay. I guess I should clarify. How many people have been to couples therapy with a narcissist and it was productive? There's probably not going to be a lot of people that say that because typically what happens is that's the time for the narcissist to actually manipulate you. Okay. That's the narcissist where they normally come across as like, I'm the victim. Okay. Like I'm the victim. And so I'm going to blame it on you. A lot of times when people go into couples therapy, and this is why you have to be like super careful, like even doing this with a toxic person, with a narcissist, okay? Because it typically gets all blamed on you, back on you. This is why I don't recommend, if you're with a narcissist, I don't recommend like getting back with someone who is, did it switch? Sorry. Someone just said like no audio on one of them. I was like, okay. This is why I don't recommend going to therapy or counseling, especially counseling with a narcissist in the Christian circle, because the majority of times people don't see it. And a lot of times the Christian circles are like, well, you guys just need to work together or you just need to fix your communication issues. Like, no, like there's an abusive person in the relationship and they're unwilling to actually acknowledge what's actually happening in that. Okay. So trying to get back in the groove of this. This is taking a little bit. It's been, I don't know. It's been like 2-3 months, maybe almost like 3 months since I've been live. So like, it's taken me a moment to like get my feet back under me. I feel like I'm like a newbie at this. This is kind of crazy. But yeah, so don't go to couples therapy. End of story. Okay. Moving on. Next question. Okay. Been to couples therapy. It wasn't productive. Yes, went with me to manipulate, to take him back. 7 months of couples therapy. It was a nightmare. Been to therapy as a couple. It was destructive. I thought it was helpful, but it was the antidepressants that actually helped. He was quiet through the whole time. He's a covert narcissist. He made our counselor feel bad. Yeah, I mean, look at that. I mean, all those different comments, all those different things that are saying like, hey, couples therapy didn't work. So that's why, like, if you're with a narcissist or if you think you're with a narcissist, figure out and like understand, have a good idea first before you actually go to therapy, and be really careful. A lot of times you'll find a narcissist that has these narcissistic traits, has all this stuff about them that is like, okay, well, we should actually like work on ourselves. So we should get into therapy. Like if a narcissist actually acknowledges there's a problem, then they need to get in therapy, regardless if it's couples. But a narcissist will always want you to go to couples therapy. That way they have a scapegoat in their pocket being like, yep, you know, this person, yeah, no, they're the worst person ever. I'm actually really awesome. Okay. So like you have to be really careful about that. Okay. I dismiss the Hoover, but I fear his retaliation. He has a few supply options, but do they consider someone saying no contact as a challenge? Sometimes I can't give you a concrete answer. Okay. Sometimes they view no contact as a challenge, and sometimes they're like, well, there went that supply, let me go find someone else. Okay. The thing is, a lot of times they will come back around and they will try to get back with you. So that's why I normally say it's not if they do it, it's typically when. Like, when are they actually going to be coming back? Okay, because oftentimes they do. Went twice from the husband who had just cheated. We had to stop going because he didn't want to hear what was wrong for sleeping with other married women while being married. Yeah, no, I mean, it's crazy. Like, a lot of times you'll go to couples therapy, they'll walk out, they'll get upset, they'll be like, we're never going to that therapist again because they looked at me wrong. You know, like it's crazy, but you'll find all the things come out to be able to try to get that. Okay. Let's see. Went to therapy by himself to try to get his good guy image back. So I have a video on YouTube. I don't know if you guys have seen it, but it talks about what narcissists value after the relationship. And mainly we're talking with the aspect of like hoovering or the kids or like stuff like that. What narcissists care about at the end of the relationship is image and money. That pretty much is like that's it. Typically just image and money, because what they're looking at is how do I keep the facade that I'm a good person, or how do I save money? This is why a lot of times you have a narcissist that fights for the kids, and you're like, you never even cared about the kids. You never even spent time with the kids. You haven't even been in the kids' life for years. But a lot of times the narcissist will fight for the kids at the end of a relationship to look good, and so they don't have to pay as much child support. And even then, half the time they don't pay it. Okay. This is why mediation sucks. Take them straight to court. Okay. So if the reverse Hoover fails, will they try other means? So the reverse Hoover, a lot of times, is when they've already trained you to come back. Okay. Like the reverse Hoover isn't necessarily the narcissist sitting back and like throwing stuff at you to make you come back. Reverse Hoover is where they've already programmed you a lot of times where you come back. Reverse Hoover is when the narcissist sits back and is like, I'm going to wait till this person comes to me because I've already trained them to do that. Okay. Reverse Hoover oftentimes falls on you, of like, you keep coming back to that person. My ex-husband never gets angry. Is that normal? I have no clue because I don't know any more context about that. Covert narcissists, yeah, you could see different aspects where you're like, hey, they feel angry. I sense the energy that's angry, but they're not actually angry. That's pretty common. Okay. It's gonna still healing and dealing with all the daily reactive abuse. Staying silent is key, but also hard. Reactive abuse is super hard. A lot of people like shy away. They don't like hearing about reactive abuse, and they don't like talking about it. Like a lot of people want to say like, hey, reactive abuse, it's not reactive. It's this, it's this, it's this. Reactive abuse is when you react to the initial action in an abusive like way. That's how it appears, and that's how it looks. The thing is, the majority of people want to talk about reactive abuse. They want to talk about the reaction versus the action. That's what the narcissist will always focus on. Like, whoa, but you threw something at me. Well, yes, because you did X, Y, and Z for 30 years. Like there's a huge like buildup a lot of times that triggers people with reactive abuse. You have to remember you're playing the game. Like when you react to the narcissist, you're feeding them supply and you're literally saying, I'm playing the game. Okay. So you have to understand it is a game. You have to pull back and be like, they're trying to get me to react. I'm not going to let that happen. Okay. Super hard. There's a lot of tips and tricks to go with that, but like it's super hard. Okay. Change my work schedule, but having to move. Yeah, there's some people that have to move for sure. I was discarded and he found his new supply and used my reactive abuse to call me crazy. So I want to point something out right here. A lot of times when they go to a new supply and you reach out and you interact, a couple things typically happen. Sometimes it'll be a way. So I mainly want to talk about one, okay? There's a couple things, but mainly one, okay? Sometimes what happens is when you reach out to either the new supply or you reach out to the narcissist when they're with the new supply, what that does is it actually sets up the opportunity for the narcissist to further lock in the new supply. You'd be like, wait, like how does that happen? Okay, if you contact the narcissist, he can turn that around or she can turn that around, okay, whoever it is, they can turn that around and tell the other person like, see, X is still texting me, like they still want me. If you can't stand like me, then I'll just go back to them. Oh no, I want you. Like you'd be surprised. Like a lot of times they'll leverage your frustration, your anger, like at them after the relationship to lock someone else in. So you got to be really careful about that. Okay. That's why you have to work on you. One of the hardest things that you got to work on is you. You're the only person that can change. Okay. A lot of times people want to change the narcissist. I've got a lot of people that they come asking questions of like, how do I get them to change? Maybe I can do this. Maybe I can do this. At the end of the day, the only person you can change is you. And I was talking to someone the other day and we brought up the idea and the concept, and they were asking, like, when does the narcissist get their karma? When does the narcissist actually lose? When does the narcissist actually get what's coming to him? And I looked at the other person and I said, when do you get your healing? Because there's so much focus on the narcissist. There's so much focus on everything else that's going on. And that is needed for a sense, for a period of time to understand it, to make you understand that you're not crazy, you're not alone, and you're not hopeless, but then it has to change. And there has to be a pivot in how you're viewing the relationship and the stories you're telling yourself so that you can grow, so you can heal, and change, and develop into someone different than who you are now. Because a lot of people have lost their sense of self and they've lost who they are, and they're still trying to find that. Okay. How do you differentiate between reactive abuse and you being the narcissist for blaming the other person? So a lot of times the reactive abuse, and like when people are questioning that and like struggling with that, a lot of that comes back to intent. Okay. And I know that's hard because you can't know the other person's intent, but you can see the demonstration. Okay. So like where did the reactive abuse stem from? What actually started it? A lot of times when you look at the facts of the situation of like, this is what actually happened, this is what's actually going on, you start to see like, wait a second, like I did this because of X, Y, and Z. And you start to realize, wait a second, I'm reacting to something versus like I'm actually maliciously attacking this person. Okay. How do you heal from being a scapegoat in a narcissistic family dynamic? A lot of times people that are in that like spot have to go no contact, have to separate from the family so that they can actually heal. A lot of times it's not going to happen when you're still with, just like it's typically not going to happen when you're still with a narcissist, because you're still getting traumatized. You're still getting that, like that trauma, like the Band-Aid ripped off like every single day because you're still getting activated with that. Okay. Can I explain narcissistic injury better? Okay. So there's a couple things on it. Okay. And there's a couple different camps on it. Sometimes people say that narcissistic injury is like anything that hurts their ego and anything that like brings them down. So like, you know, you say no to them, you reject them, like, oh, I caused a narcissistic injury. Like, honestly, I think my personal opinion is I think that's pretty shallow. I think a lot of people think like, oh, I caused a narcissistic injury. There's a bug in here. I caused a narcissistic injury because of, you know, I did this, you know, I told them no. And I'm like, you didn't really cause a narcissistic injury because you didn't really like hurt their ego. You didn't really do anything at all. Like you just kind of like gave them a little like speed bump in the road and they kept on going. For me, narcissistic injury would be more like exposure or like public rejection. Like it'd be something that would be so big that it would impact like at the core. The little stuff, like it's easy to rewire that. It's easy to rewrite it in my mind of like, okay, well, that wasn't that big. You know, I can figure this out. Like, I'm still the good person. I'm still the good guy. Like that kind of thing can happen. Okay. Let's see. Why would a narcissist lie about being in a new relationship to the ex? Sometimes that's for the image in their head. Okay. So like, that's the image of like, I have to be the good person because I told this person I never cheated and I'm not a liar, even though I'm lying. I'm not a liar. And so like, I'm going to stick with that story. Even if you run into them and you're like, I see it with my own eyes, be like, what are you talking about? Okay. A lot of times they'll do that just to keep the image in their head. Okay. She said she loves me and the next day she blocked me from everything. What do I do? Need a little bit more context there. Sorry. So my husband likes to say he became physical because of what I did. Oh, no, absolutely. A lot of narcissists, a lot of abusers like to do that. They want to put it back on their fault. The reason why is because I need to put something back on you so it's not my fault. It can't be my fault. Okay, because as a narcissist, it can't be my fault, because if it's my fault, then it's going to release guilt and it's going to release shame. I don't know how to deal with those. Those are not something that I'm capable of working through because I haven't been educated or haven't understood that it's okay to feel guilt and I need to change because of that. Like it's a warning sign. It's a red flag saying like, warning, you need to do something because you have this guilt in this area. And a lot of times a narcissist doesn't want to embrace or deal with that guilt or that shame. And so they blame it on you. It's a fine line when you start to get into physical abuse of it being justified very easily. to me, in my mind, that's where you start to switch over slightly, start to get more like sociopath aspect. Okay. Because it becomes justified. And then once it becomes justified, it becomes reasonable. And once it becomes reasonable, it becomes status quo. And that's what you're left with. And oftentimes it only ramps up from there. My ex always blamed me and justify the abuse to myself and the kids as my fault or our children's fault, anyone but his. Absolutely. Why, when they are so miserable with you, they don't leave? A lot of times because they're still controlling the chaos. So like think of it, if you think of it as like a kid's perspective. If a kid has a giant train set and they have it on the floor and they're like, oh, I don't want to pick it up, but they can run around, they can like break it all apart. Like, it's still pretty fun. A narcissist is the chaos that's actually in your life, but they're the ones actually controlling the chaos. So a lot of times, why leave? Okay. Tips for the next 3 weeks till I move out. Be really careful about practicing gray rocking. Try to give as least the response that you need to leave, least the response to that person, like the reaction, stuff like that. If you're on the place of like being like at the place where you're moving out, just be careful along that route. Someplace in here. I think it's, I don't know.
Okay, well, I guess I'll see.
It was
Oh,
someplace.
it's right here, laying on the floor.
Oh, I can't see
Where's
it.
the dustpan?
Someplace in here. Oh, wife just came in looking for the broom. It's in here. The dustpan, it's sitting over there.
Sorry.
I was like, why did you come?
I was like, oops.
You're good. Anyways, if you guys want to actually talk and see Kayla, she's actually going to be live inside the Narc app at the end of the month, on the Monday at the end of the month. She just came in asking for the broom. So,
I mean, we are planning to go live together
sometime, but we haven't decided that. Yeah.
But, yeah.
Anyways, we actually just recorded our first podcast the other day. Our first podcast of 2023. Super excited. That's gonna be coming out, and that's gonna be video. So that's new. That's new. So, anyways, where were we? I don't even know where we were. I offered mine an open relationship when he blamed me for his cheating, but wouldn't end it. Yeah, no. A lot of times, a narcissist is not going to want an open relationship because there's no challenge in it. There's no fun in that. Okay. Or they'll have an open relationship and they'll still cheat. Don't ask me how that works, but it works. Okay. Being ignored by a narcissist. He's mean, treats me like he never loved me. What does this mean? That means he's showing his true colors. Doesn't actually love you. NPD nightmare between 2017 and 19. We moved in with my parents in 2020. She became a perfect partner, and all her toxicity went for 2 years before I caught her cheating 5 months ago. Was she playing a game? A lot of times it is a game, but a lot of times it's just this like survival of like, let me get with this person and appear normal. Let me get with this person, and this is like the next section of life. This is just what I'm supposed to do. I have a video on YouTube about like, why do narcissists get married? Like, what's the point? Sometimes it's just to look and appear better in society. Like, I'm actually like a regular person, even though they know that they're not. Okay. Thank you so much for starting the YouTube channel. It's helped me immensely. Awesome. Filed for divorce after 29 years and never knew about narcissism until 3 years ago. Keep going. So, Amy, I want you to know that you're not alone. So I think the longest married person that I have personally coached was 36 years. So you're not alone. And the cool part is the 36-year marriage, like she's really thriving. She's really moving out and getting stuff underneath her as far as like being able to set up for success. So it's really cool. Is there a way to out the narcissist to your friends and family? If you have friends and family that understand you and understand some narcissism, yes. If they're friends and family that are like tight with a narcissist or like anything like that, it could be flying monkeys. So you have to be really, really careful. Sometimes when you go on a exposure campaign, the narcissist will try to twist it so it looks like it's a smear campaign. So be careful about that. Why would the ex-narcissist be over the top nice to me? No smearing. He hasn't announced breakup in 3 months. So if he hasn't announced it to a lot of people, he's trying to save his image to other people, or he's trying to figure out the story that he can like be able to manipulate so he doesn't look like the bad person. It all comes back to the image or money, anything like that. So a lot of times it's like, Like, let me be super nice so that you don't bring it up and let me not tell anybody. Like sometimes people are like, whoa, you haven't told our parents or you haven't told like your coworkers or anything like that for like years. And it's like, well, I'll just keep this life because it works, even though it's not actually real. Okay. Where we at? How to react to smear campaigns, or better not to react. Better not to react at all. So typically a narcissist, when they run a smear campaign, they're trying to do anything to make you look crazy and to make you look like you're the abuser or the bad person in the relationship. When you end up attacking them, when you end up going after them, typically you fulfill what they've already set up for everybody to see, that you are the crazy one. So you need to make sure that you don't react. When someone is saying stuff about you that you know is not true, stop trying to justify it and stop trying to be like, no, you know that's not true. Live it. If it's something that you know, I love this one because I saw it on TikTok. And if Vicky's still here, she like loves it too. Okay, if someone's like yelling at you, being like, you have blue hair and you're an awful person because you have blue hair, and you're like, nope, don't have blue hair at all, you don't really respond as much. That's the same thing with a smear campaign. Is you have a person that's coming across very crazy, is attacking you in certain areas that they know are not true. But they're attacking you in certain areas to get you to respond and react, and then you look like the crazy person. So the best thing with a smear campaign, don't engage. Don't give any time, effort, or validation to someone else's lies. Okay? Did you and your wife ever go to family court with your kids before you became self-aware? No, we didn't. We did separate, and she did take my daughter. So when younger, I thought all the attention was love, but as I grew older, I started to see the controlling. Yeah, a lot of times narcissists will covertly control you by all the attention and being together like 24/7. Okay. Maybe you've already said, but are you planning for any in-person meet and greets around North Carolina, South Carolina anytime soon? So no, I'm not planning any of those as of right now. I have in the wings, I guess, in the works, a workshop. And that's going to be coming up. I am not 100% sure. We're talking about March, but I might bump it back to April or May. It really just kind of depends on where I am with a couple of things going on with business and everything. But that's going to be in Florida, actually. That's not going to be in North Carolina, South Carolina, anywhere. But it's going to be in the Orlando area. But that'll be coming up. Not sure yet exactly what time and everything. But let's see. She did take my daughter. Yes, they both left. So when they finally left, they both left. Strategy if a narcissist owes you money, go make money somewhere else. Sorry. Like, I don't know another way to be able to put it, because typically if you've given or lent money to a narcissist, unless you have documented proof that that came from you and you can take them to court, you're probably never going to get it back. Unless you run a giant smear campaign and like expose it everywhere, like possibly, but like it's a very, very, very small percentage that you get the money back ever. Okay. What was the wake-up call that made you realize you were a narcissist? So I didn't have necessarily one. It was more like I normally describe it as like a giant puzzle. And as I started figuring out and overturning some of the pieces, I started to realize that when I put that puzzle together, it spelled narcissism. So like for me, it was all little steps. It was like understanding like personalities. So DISC personality, Myers-Briggs, Enneagram, Strengths Finder, like understanding like I'm different, I connect different, I don't have the same amount of empathy, like understanding like, wait a second, how do I identify with shame? What is shame? What is emotional intelligence? All this stuff started popping up of like, okay, now I'm starting to learn this. Being with someone who is BPD and narcissistic traits, one of the affairs, like that woke me up in some aspects. Going through Wake Up Warrior, the 30-day challenge, and being confronted with the lies that I believe and the lies that I put out there for everyone else to see, like that was another wake up piece. Doing EMDR, doing a sexual addiction intensive. There's a lot of different pieces that kind of like came together to slowly kind of spell that out. Okay. My narcissist ex doesn't post online, and after a year apart, he's posting a new supply and gave her what I waited for. Since the posting wasn't immediate, could have been to get my attention. 100%. You need to make sure that you're actually like blocking and not looking, because when you look, what you're doing is pain shopping. Typically what happens when you pain shop with looking at a narcissist social media after you've already been with them is you're typically like not feeling, and you're like, I'm not feeling, so I need to find, and you get that hit by looking. or you're feeling so much, you think if you look, then that'll subside. It does for a period of time. It goes right back. It's almost like an addiction model when you're pain shopping, looking at narcissist stuff. Okay. After you've broken up. I had to force my ex covert to pay for half of our cat medical bills. He used money. Yeah, absolutely. Trying to see. Me and my NPD ex played for the same football team. She ended up moving in with our coach and his wife, started the biggest smear campaign. The coach kicked me off the team. How do I get justice? If the coach is unwilling to actually like understand what's going on or willing to hear your side, you're not going to get this type of justice that you're looking for. Instead, you need to focus on how do you get healing and how do you get growth? Because you get so wrapped up in the aspect of justice or trying to make that person pay or get karma or anything like that, that you'll miss a giant aspect of life. And that's called you, your healing, your growth, your development. Okay. How do you know if a covert narcissist is aware that they have NPD, that they just don't care? So there's either the aspect of they're aware and they don't care, or they're not aware and they don't care. Okay. But at the end of the day, like what you look at is you look at the demonstration of their actions to be able to see if they actually care or if they don't. At the end of the day, there's a lot of narcissists that are aware, but they're unwilling to change. And like either way, like I would say that's worse. Like if you have an aware narcissist that's still not change, that still doesn't want to change, like that's even worse because it gets a lot more malicious. Okay. Yeah. If you guys haven't had a chance to be able to see the Narc app, we go live every single Monday night inside there, but it is not on any of these platforms. It's in a Zoom session where we can do breakouts where you can get involved with other people and then their community to help understand what's actually going on in your relationship, in those things going on. We bring in coaches from outside to help you in your healing journey. This happens every single month. And we also have teaching times. We have times where my wife comes live inside the Narc app and shares. You can go to narcapp.com. It stands for Narcissistic Abuse Recovery Community, NARCAPP, narcapp.com. Check that out. Okay. CPS is investing in my narcissistic ex, and now he's questioning my child 24/7. Suggestions. Where are you guys at as far as like custody? Like, do you have custody? Does he have custody? Is it 50-50? What's that actually look like? Trying just to catch up. Let's see. I need to get my trust back in men again. I would focus on your trust in you again first. Like I wouldn't even focus on that about it being, I need to get this for this. I would focus on you. Do you know who you are? Do you know your vision? Do you know your values? Do you know your purpose? Do you know why you're here on the planet? Do you know the direction you're supposed to go? If you don't know those things, then you need to pull back and be like, forget finding trust in them. I need to find trust in myself. I need to find that confidence in myself first. Okay. My narcissistic husband was treating me terrible, then apologized immediately. After apologizing, he took my car, used drugs, and took the money out of the bank. I feel like this was intentional stress. Yeah, no, I mean, a lot of that is a sedation method to be able to help handle the stuff that they're doing to you. I set boundaries up with my ex-husband, and he now blames me for what has happened. He's the one that committed adultery and fornication. Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, that's all on him, and you have to remind yourself of that because it's going to be easy to doubt that at times. Narc app, NARCAPP.com. Narc app, NARCAPP, yeah, .com. 50-50, but he works at the school. Oh gosh, okay, that's crazy. With that, it's gonna be like really, really hard to be able to do much with it. I would say like be really transparent with CPS, like keep as much data as you can, document every freaking thing you can think of. Like I have people that they walk into court like with a binder of like screenshots of communication, everything like that, to be able to show like, hey, you're not crazy. And hey, this is what's been going on. Like you need to be able to make sure that you're backfilled and you're okay. Okay. Why do narcissists get out of making people think they are still in the relationship? We have a 6-month-old. Shame of leaving the kids. Why they get out of making like they don't want people to think that they're in a relationship. Like they're trying to like hide that they're in it or out of it. Sorry, I'm trying to understand that one. What would you recommend to help build trust with yourself and others after it's been completely broken? One of the biggest things that we'll be running coming up in February is going to be the 45-day clarity challenge. I would give you the website, but I have to figure out what's going on with it because when I went to try it earlier, It was down, and I don't understand. There must be something going on with GoDaddy because something's happening. I gotta get something fixed here because I don't even think. Yeah. So, but that would be one of the biggest things that I would definitely recommend is the aspect. Okay. Yeah. So it's the actual website. Is that, and you'll see that actually coming up and be advertised here about like the last week of January. That'll be something we'll be running because the 45-day challenge is to actually help you take back your power, heal, grow, change, and develop. And there's a lot of really good content in there. There's people that are going through right now that have been getting an immense amount of help from it to be able to just open up their perspective of who they are, of what direction they're going. Starting on like your very basic level is like start journaling, start finding you, start understanding the truth of the situation because narcissist typically takes that away. Okay. What do they get out of not telling people about the breakup? Just image. So it looks better for me if I don't tell other people that we're broken up. Okay. As a helper narcissist, do you see other narcissist behaviors clearly now that you've done the work? Typically. So I don't want to say like, oh, I'm like a narcissist guru. Like I can pinpoint them out. But I've never had one that I haven't had in a one-on-one session, especially if I'm doing a couple session with both people. I've never had one that it's not like blatantly clear. It's typically like oozing of like, holy crap, that's that. Couples is like the best from my perspective because I don't mind the conflict, and so I'll bring the heat right back at them. Like you think I get like on a soapbox sometimes on a live? Like no, like the gloves come off whenever we're doing like couples counseling, couples coaching. Sorry, I'm not a counselor. Couples coaching, and I'm like working with them because if I see it, like I'll call it out, and typically it doesn't go well, but it typically gives one person clarity. Typically, it's not the narcissist. How did you know to choose me? That is a very good question. A lot of times people will say it's because you're super empathic. It's because you have money. It's because you have certain looks. A lot of times a narcissist will choose another person or will be with another person because they find that that person is easily moldable. Typically, a person is easily moldable if they don't know who they are and if they don't have boundaries. Those two things you almost have to have, not having a sense of self and not having boundaries to be able to manipulate a person. So a lot of times that's why. What about here on TikTok? Can you tell the difference between a victim telling the truth and the narcissist smearing the victim? Nope. Every once in a while we can, but no. Just on like text and stuff like that. No. Love to be a fly on the wall with one of your couples coaching. Oh, I mean, they're fun. The couples coaching, they're fun. It's not surprising sometimes in doing like a couples coaching, like if the narcissist, whoever it might be, but typically it's a guy whenever I'm like talking to him, but like typically it's not very uncommon to have them like walk out because I'm like, nope. I think like the best thing is in a couple session, like working with someone and a narcissist, like getting to the place of like understanding like, whoa, nope, you just lied there in our conversation. And like, that's kind of like, all right, yep, this isn't going anywhere because you can't be honest. But it's hard. It's hard. I've had several narcissists that have contacted me being like, I think I'm a narcissist, but it seems like this and this. And I'm like, okay, well, let's do a session like with your partner, everything like that. Do the session. I'm like, yep, no, not pulling it over that way. Okay. Do narcissists feel shame? Yes. That's why they're running away from it and running over you. Shame avoidance. Do you ever publish videos of my couple sessions? No, those are all private and confidential. I don't post anything that I have as far as like anything with like one-on-one or coaching. All that is private. Okay, people's confidentiality matters. That's why we have the NARC app for people actually they can dive further in depth about stuff in a closed environment versus it being like public like this because none of that stuff is like broadcasted anywhere. My ex-narcissist wants to change. He doesn't like his bad breakdowns, but he doesn't know how to make it stop. Okay, then what is he willing to do? Because that's really the main question. There's a lot of narcissists that'll say, oh, I want to change. Okay, what's your plan? Well, I don't know, just be nicer. Okay, that's a bullshit plan. Okay, what's your plan? Should you go to therapy? Well, I was thinking about therapy. Like that's the thing is like there's a lot of people that say they want to change, but the people that actually do, those are people you should actually take a look at. Okay. How'd you get to the point of doing sessions and coaching? Okay. So what actually happened is I was doing live events. I was doing all this kind of stuff. I was interacting with a lot of people. And the first person that told me was Lee Hammock, mental illness. He was like, you need to start doing coaching. Like you need to start meeting with people like one-on-one. And I was like, really? Like, I don't know. Like, I don't know if I should. And then started off, gosh, what was it? About 14, 14 months ago. Yeah. 14, 15 months ago. So I guess coming up on like a year and a half soon, but like 15 months ago, and just it took off. And like I started being able to provide aspects and answers for people that they weren't able to get in therapy, that they weren't able to get just searching stuff on social media. And I'm able to talk to people on a different level or a different aspect than what I would if I had different certifications. Like if I was like a certified therapist, I wouldn't be able to tell you like, yeah, it looks like a narcissist. Be like, well, I can't actually diagnose anyone or anything like that. No, I'd be like, if it walks like a duck and it quacks like a duck and it smells like a duck and it swims like a duck, like it might be a duck, like it's just, I'm very like direct with a lot of stuff to do because I don't have time and you don't have time for bullshit answers or like us like going around the mulberry bush to get to the conclusion of like, hey, everything you've told me so far, like I'm not seeing any hope here. I'm not seeing honesty, vulnerability, consistent change. So like this isn't going to work. Why? This computer. I'm going to have to get rid of some stuff on this computer. Let's see. All right. We'll try it again. Everybody but TikTok. It might freeze up on us again. And if it does, we're just going straight to TikTok and wrapping up the night. Okay. If you don't follow me on any of the other ones, it's Raw Motivation everywhere. But just FYI, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, my computer's acting up. So it might kick us out here in the next couple of minutes. If you want to catch the last little bit, it's going to be on TikTok because that's the only one that's running nice and steady no matter what. Okay. What's the difference between narcissistic traits and being a narcissist? Basically, the easiest way to say it is one's diagnosed. The other way to be able to say it is a pathological experience of like this keeps happening. Okay. And the other thing is toxic. So who cares about the label? So many people get so focused on like, if it's a narcissist, then I can leave. Okay, but what about all the abuse that you suffered? Does that not justify leaving? No, people normally want an out, and they normally want an out that makes them feel better about themselves. And I'm not saying that's to shame anybody, but I'm saying it is true. A lot of times people are like, if they're a narcissist, then boom, I can throw in the towel. Okay, but what about the times they hit you? What about the times they cheated on you? What about the times they lied to you? What about the times they stole you? They stole money from you. Like you need to shave this perspective. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter what the name is. It doesn't matter like the label. What actually matters is how they demonstrate.